This is Camping with Wade's RV on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. Your RV guide for Oklahoma and beyond. Give us a call at 918-460-KRMG. Now, let's hit the road.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Camping with Wade's RV. This is 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. A breaking news Saturday afternoon in the presidential race. We will continue regular programming now, and live continuous coverage from Fox News Radio will resume tonight when former Vice President Joe Biden and now President-elect from Fox News, Joe Biden, will speak to the nation, so we will continue that later on. But for now, let's talk about RVs and camping. We'd love to have you join us, 918-460-KRMG, 460-5764. Joined with Wade's RV down at 161st and Highway 75. It's Willy D. How you doing, Willy D?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm actually out here in Oklahoma City right now. I'm actually at the AQHA World Show. So a little bit different of a location this week, but it's a really cool location. So I'm out here with the guys from Sportchassis, and I'm actually at a shoe shine booth right now, getting my shoes shined by Frank Shined, and they're doing a great job out here. And I'm gonna be out here all day till about 3 p.m. And there's just a whole lot of activity. There's a whole lot of shopping. If people like the Western lifestyle, they can come on out here and experience a little bit of that and see some great horses competing for some great prizes. And this show is actually about a month long, so it's a really cool show. We're going to be out here today, and the guys from Wade's RV will be out here throughout the next 20 days or so. You definitely want to, if you're in the OKC area, swing on by and check out those amazing trucks. And like I said, I'm out here doing the show live today. So once I get done with this shoe shine, I'll be back at the old Sportchassis booth. And come on out here and see us. It's going to be fun. And if you are in Tulsa, make sure to go by Wade's RV. They're out there making a whole lot of deals today. One thing that we really want to stress is we want a chance to earn your business. And so if you're out there and you are in the market for an RV and you've looked all over and you've looked at different places, make sure you come by and see us, and we'll make sure that you get a good deal. That's absolutely sure. A
couple of weeks ago, you were talking about the rodeo life and how RVs play a big role there, and I would imagine that's the same situation down at a horse show. And you guys are no strangers to the horse trailer business, too, so I would imagine you're seeing a lot of good stuff out there.
We are, yeah. So one thing that Wade's RV is known for is having some awesome trades. And from time to time, we actually do get some horse trailers in on trade. And so we've had a lot of those come through Wade's RV. And back in the day, we actually used to be a Bloomer horse trailer dealer. So we have definitely had our fair share of horse trailers around Wade's RV. And the equine world, we are hand in hand with that. Wade is always looking to give back to the community. And next week, actually, we're going to be doing a futurity event, and Wade has sponsored a bucking horse. And so we're looking for some help trying to name this horse. And so if you have a name for it, get on our Facebook page. You can watch the video. It's from the great livestock at G Money Rodeo Company. And so this horse is going to buck. And take a watch that video. And if you have a name for it, go ahead and give us a name drop and see if you're the one chosen that gets the lucky name, that horse. It's a pretty cool deal. But yeah, so we're very familiar with that world. And it's just another great thing that we're looking forward to sponsoring and getting back into the community. One thing that we have going on today and until the Veterans Day is we actually have a discount for all of our veterans that have done so much for us as Americans. We're actually giving you $500 off and a free hitch. And so it's a great deal, and it's a great thing that you can take advantage of right now.
It's Camping with Wade's RV. Skyler Cooper with Willy D. And make sure you check out that sale that's going on for Veterans Day. And it's a great time to be out camping, man. The weather is just perfect for it. And so there are some people who are probably just this close to winterizing their RVs and thought, you know what, I can squeeze in a few more weeks. And we've actually been reporting that this is the prime time. You heard Alan talking about it earlier on the gardening show, that it's prime fall foliage time. So if you wanted to take that Talamina drive or go camping somewhere, we would love to know what you are checking out this weekend, where you're camping, what that drive looks like. Remember to call us, 918-460-KRMG, 460-5764. Willy D, I know it's mostly just Turnpike down there to OKC, but did you get a good view?
I did get a good view. They've actually recently redone the highway here recently, so it was a really great drive on the way down. And it was just really good. I was out there feeding some horses this morning out at my ranch, and it's a beautiful day. You don't really need a jacket. There's a little bit of a breeze, and so it's just kind of Mother Nature's air conditioning out here. And so it's a great drive. If you're just looking for something to get out there and do today, it is a great time. And if you want to do a test drive on Sportchassis, I'm giving test drives out here. So come on out here and test drive one of those today. And if you have your camper, then get on out and get camping, because this is the best time. I don't think you're going to have any better weather than this. You can get out there. You can start a fire if you want. You can really get out there and enjoy a lot of things. You can still be out there fishing. It's not super, super cold. And just get out there and enjoy your camper. And like those guys a couple weekends ago were talking about, if you do have your camper and you're not using it, get out there and rent it with RV Easy. They make it just super easy. They take all the hassle out of it, and they'll make sure that you're taken care of at the end of the day. So either get out and use your camper or let someone else use it, because you can actually own a camper for free. It was something really cool that we were talking about, that just because of the surge in RVing and how popular that it's been here recently, you can actually make money on your RV. And so get out there and try those guys out. It's a really popular service that people are taking advantage of more and more as we see the season progress and RVing become more popular throughout the season. With COVID being the way that it is, people are looking for a great getaway. And I have one great thing to tell you about camping: no face masks are required out there when you get out into Mother Nature. So it's a really cool thing that you can do. And if you want to learn more about it, come on out and see us at Wade's RV today. We're going to be open until 5 p.m. And our phone number is 918-291-1011. And we're located at 161st and Highway 75, just 5 minutes south of Tulsa Hills. And don't forget, we're also Oklahoma's only full-service RV dealership. So we have a lot to offer you guys. We can handle anything that you have RV related.
You're handling the Sportchassis down there today and doing test drives, which I have driven one, and I will say it is a lot of fun. Could have used one yesterday, Willie D. Took an hour, 45-minute drive to Ponca City. Now a new cat owner. Me and my girlfriend adopted a cat last night.
That's awesome.
Would have been nice to have that little extra room. And just anytime, I mean, it's an hour 45, and I'm complaining, but I hate long drives. And the Sportchassis would have been great. We got stuck behind some slow traffic. So that extra leg room, that extra cushion, that comfortable seat, that's the way you want to go. And you're down there in OKC. They're not built too far from there, are they?
No, it's actually about an hour away from Oklahoma City here. And so if you're looking to actually go to the Sportchassis factory, I love to go there. I've been there about 3 times myself, and it's really not too far, and it's a really cool experience. If you've ever watched How It's Made, you can actually live it in real life. And so that's pretty cool. So if you want to go down there, you can always holler at me. I'm always in for a little bit of a road trip myself. And yeah, come on out there and we'll show you around. And those guys at Sportchassis are always more than willing to show you some cool trucks. This week at Wade's RV, we're actually doing something first that we have never done in the past, and that's actually order one of the 4-wheel drive Sportchassis. And so those are really, really rare. They actually only build 2 a year, and we have a customer who's interested in one of those. So we've been building it up and optioning it out, and I'm really looking forward to putting that order in, because there's going to be some really cool videos coming out about that. And if you want to learn more about Sportchassis or any of the products that we have at Wade's RV, you can get on our YouTube page, Wade's RV, and I have tons of different videos talking about all of that great stuff, and you just got to check it out to see it for yourself. And like I said, come out and experience the Wade's RV difference.
2 a year they build of the 4-wheel drive models. That's interesting. Now, what is the advantage to a 4-wheel drive Sportchassis?
Well, there's, for one, you can go off-roading. That's a big advantage that you have. But secondly, I mean, no one else has it. So a lot of celebrities have these. A lot of people that really kind of want to just go out and advertise for themselves a lot of times, or just go out and have a good time. These things are really cool, and they make a presence out on the road. And so if you're wanting to go ahead and let people know who you are, or if you have those big rigs that you're wanting to tow, this will do it as well. Red Bull, Bud Light, a lot of those major companies, they have their own Sportchassis that they use to pull their trailers. And also whenever they arrive to a promotional event, that piece itself, the tool that they use to get their trailer there and get all of their products there, is actually the same tool that they're using to promote themselves. So there's many different things that you can use the Sportchassis with. It's not necessarily just for heavy pulling. You can actually use it as a promotional tool yourself. So lots of different things that you can do with them, just like an RV. It kind of just depends on your purpose and your cause.
Would that make it a 6-wheel drive? Because I think it's dual rear wheels, aren't they?
It is, yeah. So it actually does have the dualies in the back, you might say. One interesting fact about the 4-wheel drive Sportchassis, though, is that you only have 5 gears. And so you have that same Allison transmission, but it's only going to have 5 gears. So if you are looking for maybe a highway cruiser, that's probably not the one for you. But if you're towing around town, that sort of thing, this would be perfect. And one thing that's really cool is, so we have a lot of Sportchassis up here, lots of different colors, but at Wade's RV, I did have some new ones arrive as well. And so I had a brand new blue one come in, and it is just absolutely beautiful. It's like a deep deep royal navy blue. And so that one's really cool. And one of the all-time favorites of everyone who likes sport chassis is the red. And so we have one of those big, bright red ones there as well. So you can see it from Highway 75, and you definitely want to come by and see it. And like I said, if you are a veteran, we do have that promotion for you going on until Veterans Day, where you can take advantage of $500 off or a free hitch. So it's a really great opportunity for you to save a little bit extra money.
It's Camping with Wade's RV on KRMG. We'll take a break. If you want to join the show, got a question about your RV, have a problem with it, want Willy D to help you diagnose it, get on the phone, 918-460-KRMG, 460-5764. We'd also love to know where you're camping today. I'm looking at the cameras. It's a beautiful day out there. Following breaking news of the presidential election coming up, too, in about 14 minutes right here on KRMG. I'm Skyler Cooper. We'll be right back.
RV every Saturday at noon on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.
Welcome back. It's Camping with Wade's RV on KRMG. I'm Skyler Cooper, joined by Willy D. He's live at a horse show in Oklahoma City today, so if you're down that way, stop by and see him. And it's going to be interesting down there because you're going to be doing some test drives of the Sportchassis. And Willy D, last week you broke a little news about Oklahoma City. Should we update that?
Yeah, so like I said last week, we are going to be having a new Wade's RV location, and that's going to be out here in Oklahoma City. So I'm really excited about the opportunities and the doors that this is going to open for us. Wade's RV is known for providing the best customer service around, and then most importantly, the best service. One thing that Oklahoma has been lacking is a full service dealership, and Wade Reeves has really filled in that gap for Oklahoma. And it's really exciting because, like I said, we're going to be expanding that Wade's RV reach because so many of our customers have been driving hours and hours to have that service that Wade's RV provides, and now we're going to have it up here in the city. And so it's really cool. We're going to be able to help the people up here, and they're not going to have to travel as far. I have one very loyal customer, Trent England. I actually think I'm going to be picking up his camper this week for him, and he actually lives up right next to our new location. And so we're really excited about this just because, for one, Wade's RV is going to be able to help more people get into better quality RVs, and like I said, we're also going to be able to help them service their RVs. So it's going to be pretty cool, and hopefully we're going to have that store fully up and running around March is what I've been told. And so I'm just really shows up here as well. So it's pretty cool. And like you were saying, I am up here at the AQHA World Show, and I'm sitting in this really cool sport chassis booth right now. I feel really special because this is actually the same booth that they take to the NFR with them. And so whenever we go up there to the NFR, it is a really, really cool experience. And so they brought it back, and now I have the privilege of sitting underneath here. And so if you come by the booth, come on out. We're at the trade show right now. And I have a whole bunch of trucks out here for you to test drive. I have a whole bunch of brochures for you to take home. And if you stop by the booth, the guys from Sportchassis actually left me some really cool souvenir cups. So they're actually some of those 3D printer cups. So they're really strong, and they have this really cool plastic. So I'm a really big fan. I know I'll be taking a couple of them home myself. And so it's really cool. Swing on by the booth if you're here at the trade show, or if you're in Tulsa and you're not doing anything, come on by because it's going to be a lot of fun. If you like horses and you want to learn a little bit more about them, this is the place. And like I said, I had a shoe shine earlier. That was amazing. And that was from Frank Shines over there in the convention center as well. So come on out here and see some great Western life and see exactly what it's all about. And RVs really tie into it. One thing that I've always found is when you're on the road, you need somewhere to stay. And horse trailers, while they do have a living quarters, they're not necessarily large living quarters. It's not somewhere that you can really spread out and really just relax. And one thing that RVs allow for you to do is really have that space, have that extra sleeping area, so you can really just spread out and enjoy yourself when you're not out working. Because while these shows are fun, it's also a competition. And so you're out here working. Like I said, next weekend, we're going to be out at the Futurity, which I'm really excited about. And we're going to be definitely working. We're going to have about 3 horses out there, I think, from the G Money Rodeo Company. And we're definitely going to be taking an RV with us. And you know what else? We're going to be taking a sport chassis. And I wanted to get into why would you buy a sport chassis? And there's a whole list of reasons. And I'm just going to kind of go over a few of them and, kind of tell you exactly why you would want to do that yourself. And the first is you don't have to have a CDL. A lot of the times people see these higher profiles. So whenever you're in the seat, you're going to be above everyone. You're going to have a lot better visibility just all the way around. And so it makes it for a really nice drive whenever you're pulling these big loads and these longer trailers. Many times whenever you're in those 1-tons, they just have those single kind of wide frame mirrors, and you can see around you, but not nearly what you can see in a sport chassis. So that's one thing. You're not going to have a CDL, and that's because it doesn't have air brakes and it's underneath a certain weight rating. the guys up at Sportchassis, they actually went up to Washington, D.C. and actually petitioned, and they got it. So that truck is actually classified as a heavy-duty pickup truck. So many people that aren't necessarily hot-shotting, a lot of the people that are in the equestrian world, or a lot of people that are hauling those bigger RVs like those Riverstones and stuff, they get these trucks because it's a whole lot safer just overall. So that's a really, really great feature. And then one thing that I always do on a test drive with a Sportchassis is I make sure the customers have to turn that wheel, because the turning radius in these trucks, you will not find it in anything else. It's really amazing, because you just feel like you can't turn anymore, and then there's a whole nother half a turn in it. And so whenever you're in some tight spots, that really comes in handy. And I know whenever I'm in gas stations, I really love that feature. So that's a couple of those reasons, and we'll get into a few more later. But if you are in Tulsa, like what we were saying, go on out and see those guys at Wade's RV. They're going to be out there until 5 p.m. this evening.
We are coming up on the bottom of the hour to take a break, and we will check the breaking news on the presidential election with Burt Williams in the KRMG 24-hour Fox News Center. The race for president being called by Fox News, and we're going to have an update for you in just moments. But first, we are talking camping and RVs with Willy D at Wade's RV. Let's go ahead and take our break, Tim, and we'll get down into there. I've got a question for you, Willy D, when we come back. That drive I took yesterday, I told you about, to Ponca City and back, I saw some people doing some real interesting things with really big drives. Big vehicles. We'll get into that when we come back from the break and the news. This is 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.
Tulsa's News and Talk.
Welcome back. It's Camping with Wade's RV on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. I'm Skyler Cooper, joined by Willy D from Wade's RV. And if you missed the first half of the show, remember we have a podcast up every week. You can find it on the KRMG app or krmg.com. And Willy D, if they did miss the first part of the show, they might not remember where you are. So fill us in on what's happening with you today.
So if you're looking for Willy D, I am actually not at Wade's RV, and I'm actually up here in Oklahoma City. I came up here first thing this morning, and I'm getting to enjoy this really cool horse show. So the guys from Sportchassis called me, and they wanted me to come up here and do the radio show live. And so we're up here having a great time, and we're really just enjoying the show and everything that's going on here. So if you're looking for me, I'm up here at the Oklahoma City Fairgrounds doing the radio show live from the Sportchassis booth. So I'm in the trade show area, and you'll see me over here or out by the trucks. We're going to be doing test drives all day today. And so if you're out here, come on by and see us. We're going to have a great time. You know Willy D is going to have giveaways. And so those guys from Sportchassis, they left me some really cool cups out here. And so if you want some Sportchassis memorabilia, come on out and see me and see what this is all about. So we got about 4 trucks up here, I think, and there's a lot of customers of Sportchassis up here. So it's pretty cool. I've got to meet a couple of the guys, and they've been telling me all the stories of the road, a little bit of delivery diaries, you might say, just horse show edition. And so it's been really cool to hear some of those stories and just hear about all the miles that they have turned into memories. It's kind of a slogan that we have at Wade's RV, but how many miles they've been able to put on these trucks. I was talking to a gentleman who just hasn't been satisfied with his 1 ton and the performance that he's had within it. And I said, man, you got to drive one of these. And he became a believer. So hopefully we'll be able to get him signed up on a Sportchassis today. But there's just so many different things that he talked about. And we were talking about those 10 different reasons to own a Sportchassis, and we're going to get right back into that. So I've been talking about how safe it is, and one reason that it is so safe is because of the visibility, like what we talked about, because of the turning radius, but also because of the weight that's behind this truck. Whenever you're looking at a normal 1-ton truck, you're going to be looking at a truck that weighs about 7,000 pounds. And whenever you're talking about the loads that you pull with the Sportchassis, usually we're talking about pretty heavy-duty loads. We're talking all the way up to 30,000 pounds. And so whenever you're talking about that much weight, you got to think about what is behind you. And whenever you're driving a Sportchassis, you'll know that behind you is a truck that weighs about 13,000 pounds. And so you're almost doubling the weight that you're actually able to pull that. And last time I checked, with Newton's law, equal and opposite reaction, you're going to need something to stop that big old trailer behind you. And so that Sportchassis is going to give you lots of ways to stop that, and one way is going to be that weight you have behind you. So really, really big deal with that. So it's a lot safer. You're going to have that visibility. You're going to have the turning radius. You're going to have the weight behind you, but also just the load and how it's going to be able to handle that load. The Sportchassis is built with a lot heavier duty of material than what you're going to find on a normal truck. It's very much like whenever you move from that 1500 up to the Super Duty series with a Ford, you're going to notice that big of a change of the heavy dutiness and the suspension and the actual steering components. Everything about about it. And so one thing that sport chassis has is a 17,000-pound axle right there. So whenever you're putting those big heavy loads on that truck, it's going to be able to have an axle that can actually support it. One thing that a lot of people don't think about whenever they're loading their RV is you might have an RV that weighs 16,000 pounds. Well, think about once you put stuff in it, you're going to have a lot more weight on top of that. And so this truck is going to be able to hold it. And then dependability. This truck has the best setup you could ever have inside a vehicle. You're going to have a Cummins diesel engine. And so that is one of the most popular engines that has ever been on the market. And that is 350 horsepower underneath that hood. And you can go all the way up to close to a 500 horsepower option with the sport chassis. And then you're also going to have that paired with the Allison transmission, like what we talked about. So that's going to be a 6-speed, and it's going to make sure that you're going to be able to make sure that that load gets up to the speed that you need and also drops down to whenever you need to slow down. So lots of great things with that, and it's going to be dependable. You're going to be able to put close to 1 million miles on this rig, and that's what people want, is they want it whenever they're making an investment. You want it to be for a long time. You don't want to turn around a year or two later and have to trade it in for another truck, which is what many of these guys are doing. And the current truck market's pretty expensive. I was looking at one the other day for my ranch, and man, some of these are right up there at close to $1,000. And I have great news for you today, folks. You can get in a sport chassis for just a little over $100. And so we sold some this week for $119,000. And so if you're interested in one of those trucks at that great price, give us a call, because I still think I have a couple left. I know I have a couple up here at a great show price as well. And so if you're up here at this show, swing on by and see exactly what I have to offer for you today.
Willie D, we might have to turn to some of our truck driver friends who I know are listening right now. So grab your open mics on the KRMG app and let me know this trivia question I'm going to ask. But Willie D, you might know the answer. 1 million miles that they say you can put up to a sport chassis. I'm just curious, for your average, I mean, it's going to be different, but how long does it take to get to 1 million miles? If you're driving a sport chassis recreationally, probably a lot longer than a truck driver. I'm just curious if someone who drives all day, every day like truck drivers, they probably get there, a lot faster than someone who owns a sport chassis would. But that just tells me years and years and years of reliability.
Years and years of reliability. And yeah, a truck driver, obviously, if you're driving it every single day, you're going to have more miles on that coach than the person that's just using it recreationally. And so most people that own these sport chassis are using them for, a lot of the times, their hobby. Sometimes these are professionals that are using them for hot shotting rigs, or they're out here on the road traveling around to these different horse shows and these different events. A lot of guys that hold bulls, they also have sport chassis as well. So there's lots of different options that you can have for it. But generally speaking, these are kind of a recreational vehicle. People aren't driving these every single day. And so that could very well last a personal lifetime. So if you buy a sport chassis, you very well may not need to buy another truck ever again. And with all the improvements that the sport chassis has, you were talking about how comfortable it was going on those long journeys and these long trips. One thing I love is the back massager it has. You click a button and it's got a back roller, and so you can really go on very long journeys. I drove it all the way down to Houston, Texas and back, and I did not even have to fill up once. This truck has a 160-gallon fuel tank on it, so once you start, you're not going to be stopping. So this thing is really great, and it's really great for the long haul and the longevity of that tow across the road. And also, this is just kind of my final reason of the multitude of the top 10 of why you would want to own a sport chassis, but the luxury that you have in this coach. Like we said, it's got a back roller, so it's got the back massage. You have the backup cameras. It actually has spotlights on it. One thing that I love is it has storage. Whenever you're talking about a normal truck, you don't have storage compartments on your truck bed. A sport chassis does. And so you're going to have your truck bed. You're going to have lots of space. So if you do want to put stuff in the rear, you can, but you also have the side compartment. So you're just making use of every single bit of storage that you could have. And just the cab has tons of space. Everything about this truck is just second to none. And I know that you guys would love it. So come on out here and test drive it and see the difference today.
Pop quiz for you, Willie D. I don't know if you have this number, but I'm curious about the width of the sport chassis, because yesterday driving to Ponca City and back, I noticed a lot of people either pulling with their big 1-ton, pulling an RV, or people, I saw a couple of buses too. And in Tulsa, it's not a problem, but when you get out of the city on the turnpikes, you have the real tight gates. And unless you have a pike pass, and you can't just go right through, you got to squeeze through there. And even one of the lanes that always says no trailers, it really slows you down. So is the sport chassis just narrow enough to get through all that stuff a little easier than maybe a full-on semi?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, these things are only actually 99 inches wide, so it's pretty standard. And whenever you're talking about the length, they're actually right over 25 foot. And so whenever you side by side to a normal truck, it's very similar in the footprint. You're just going to have a lot taller of a rig, and so you're going to have a bigger profile. And then with all of those heavy duty parts that they're using, it's going to increase that weight as well. So your footprint isn't going to necessarily be a whole lot larger than what you're used to. It's going to be pretty standard. I used to live in downtown Tulsa, believe it or not, at the University Club Tower. I had a great time when I lived there, but I used to drive one of those home all the time, and all the residents knew Willy D was home because the Sportchassis was there. But you can very much drive one of those downtown Tulsa. You can drive it down Peoria. Those used to be my stomping grounds, and I used to drive one all the time. And so it's very maneuverable. You can actually park it in just a normal parking space. And so with it only being 99 inches wide, it makes it very, very simple. And it's just really, like I said, it's a great truck to drive around. I love driving one for pleasure every single day. It drives like a Cadillac. So, I'm all about that.
Yeah, I think you have good experience with that comparison, don't you?
Yeah, just a little bit. I am a little bit of a Cadillac man. That's true.
All right, let's take our break. You're listening to Camping with Wade's RVs down in Oklahoma City at the Horse Show, and we're going to get an update on what's going on down there and then kind of get an update for the rest of the weekend, what Wade's RV is up to. 161st Highway 75, or give them a call, 918-291-1011. It's Camping with Wade's RV on KRMG.
Have one more segment
on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.
Welcome back to Camping with Wade's RV, 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. Skyler Cooper along with Willy D from Wade's RV. You can find them 161st and Highway 75 or 121st up there at their service center, 918-291-1011. Willy D, you're down in OKC today, but people can still stop on by Wade's RV. And you've got a special deal coming because it is next week coming up on Veterans Day.
We do have a special deal coming. So for Veterans Day, Wade, he always loves to give back to the community, but more importantly, he loves to give back to our veterans. And so just like whenever we're helping out with the Blue Star Mothers, this is another great opportunity that we can give directly back to our veterans. So if there's any veterans out there that are looking for an RV, a Sportchassis, anything that we sell at Wade's RV, you're going to be able to take advantage of $500 off that purchase. So if that's a new RV, that's a used RV, if that's a horse trailer that we have out there, I don't think we have any boats right now, but any of that sort of equipment that we have out there, you can take advantage of $500 off, and we're going to make sure that you can get set up with a free hitch. So take advantage of that, because that hitch value, that is well over $500. The hitch is about $500, but then Wade is going to go ahead and install that for you as well. So tons of value there, and you're not going to be able to find that anywhere else in town. And like I've been saying this whole program, let us try to earn your business. If you've gone everywhere else and you think you've had the best deal, you think it can't be beat, bring it to us, because let me tell you, Wade, he's not a loser. He is a winner, and he likes to make sure that he can get every deal that he can. And we want to show you the products that we actually have at Wade's RV. One thing that you'll notice is it's different. It's actually a quality product. It's a name brand product, because Wade has been in the industry for so many years now. He has handpicked each one of these, and not just has he handpicked them, these companies have handpicked us as well. We are the exclusive, let me repeat that, exclusive Newmar dealer, and that is not a easy title to gain here in Oklahoma. And so we're going to have that, and then, like I said, we're going to be up here in Oklahoma City here in just a couple months, and so we're going to be able to help customers with those Newmars just even closer to home for them. But we have that title. There's many other brands that we have at Wade's RV that we're really proud to carry. We have Aspen Trail, we have Catalina, we have Vibe, we have Sabre, we have that brand new, all new redesigned Wildcat, like we were talking about last week with Glenn from Wildcat. That was really great having him on the show. And so if you're looking for something different and you're looking for a fresh taste, let me tell you, if you've been to everywhere else in town, you got to come to Wade's RV, because there is something different about our store. One thing that I know is different is it smells like cedar. That's one thing I love about coming to work every day, is it actually smells like cedar wood whenever you walk in the door, and it's just a friendly family atmosphere. And so it's really cool. And if you love cornhole, we have that on deck at all times. But come on by, and it's a really just, it's totally different, like I said. And so come see us today. We're going to be open until 5 p.m. and our phone number is 918-291-1011. And like I said, if you're out here in OKC, I actually had one of my friends just stop by, Jake Gordon. It was good to see him swing on by the booth earlier and say hello hello to us out here. I don't think he's in the market for a sport chassis. I think he's out here for some horses, but it was still good to see him. And like we were talking about in our previous shows, one thing that Wade's RV is really pumping right now, just due to the surge in RVing, is we are paying top dollar for your used RV. So if you have an RV that you're wanting to sell, you're wanting to consign, or you're wanting to trade, come on by and see us, because we are paying the absolute top dollar. You won't find anyone else paying what we are paying, because we want it, and we're going to treat you right, and that's what we're about.
Making that move and addition to Oklahoma City is Wade's RV. And it sounds like, from what you told me last week, you guys are sort of taking the quick trip model. You go into a quick trip, you know where you're going. Everything's, unless it's like a different generation. But for the most part, you know where things are. And that's the same approach, because you guys are sort of doing a copy of your Glenpool location.
It's going to be really cool. I was going over the designs with Wade last week. He kind of has been just giving me little nibbles at all of it. He doesn't give me the full view of it all at once, but it's been really cool. One thing that he told me was that basically whenever you come to the Oklahoma City store, it's going to be an exact replica of what we have in Tulsa. And so it's going to be really cool. Whenever you walk in, you're going to be able to turn over there to the right, and there's going to be the parts section and the business office. Whenever you come in and you turn to the left, you're going to see all of our offices, and you'll see probably Wade's office over there, and it'll probably be decorated very similar with saddles and bullhorns. We're kind of a Western dealership, and so it's going to be really cool. I'm going to have to make sure that I get a good night's rest, because whenever I walk into each store, it might kind of throw me off. So I'm really excited, and it's just really cool to see the expansion that's happening at Wade's RV throughout the years. Whenever I first started at Wade's RV, I had a little office over there, actually where the parts department is now, and I kind of moved around, and I found my final home in one of our expansions that we did last year. And so it's really cool to see each year just the growth that we have, and that's because of our customers. At Wade's RV, we make sure that we develop relationships with our customers, and it's not just a in and out sort of process. We want to make sure that whenever you buy an RV from us, that we take care of your RV, and that we're who you call, not just in the good times, but also in the bad. So whenever you have a problem with your RV, we can make sure that we take care of you. And we're going to expand that up to OKC so we can help people in OKC. One thing that I found was amazing was that there was a want for a dealership that was going to take care of people, a want for a dealership that could actually fix these problems that people were having on their RVs. And guess what? We're coming to Oklahoma City, so you don't have to wait too long. We will be right here, just right around the corner, and it's just another step in the Wade's RV chapter, or in the Wade's RV chapter book, I guess. So it's really, really cool and exciting, and we've had just so much growth in 2020. I can't wait to see what 2021 has to offer, and then 2022. One thing that I've told Wade time and time again is he's going to have to kick me out of that dealership, because I love it so much, and I love my job and just everything and the culture that we've developed there at Wade's RV. Not just the great RVs, but the great staff that we have. We make sure that everyone is up to a standard of integrity, and that they're making sure to treat all of our customers the way that they should be treated and the way business should be done. So it's really cool. And if you want to experience that difference, come on out and see us today.
That'll wrap it up for today, Willy D. One last time, that phone number for Wade's RV.